Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parli italiano?
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/acast. Spelled BABBEL.com/acast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unravelling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. Scotty, how are you doing?
Hello, my friend. Do you know what? I'm very, very good. I've had some rather fun developments with my life potentially this week. By the time this show comes around for the listener, not when we're recording it, but when the listener hears it, I may have adopted a dog.
It's very cute.
It's very cute.
She's very cute.
Yeah. No, she is. She's very, very cute. So she's an 8-year-old puggle, which is a mix between a pug and a beagle. And there's none of the breathing things. I've been to meet her. She is such a little loaf of bread. She is so chilled. And we're very, very excited to potentially be bringing her into our home. So you're coming up this weekend to see me in Liverpool. So by the time this comes out, we'll have already hung out and been to the Beatles Museum and hung out with the boys. So
that's so all excited to come about. I can't wait to drive up.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Go to Liverpool, go to Christmas fair, market, Christmas market.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
Start Christmas early. We've already got our decorations up.
Oh, have you? Have you had a premature tree ejaculation, have you?
Yeah, like I said, ever since last year, and I put a post out about December being the start of Christmas, and people were like, don't yuck my yum. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Technically, it would be don't yuck my Yule, I think, but
I don't like you anymore.
So, yes, by the time the listener hears this, you and I will have hung out. We'll have been big spoon, little spoon in my spare room, or Sylvia will be on the sofa.
Allegedly.
We'll have been to the Beatles Museum, and I may have a dog. So it's been a big sort of whirlwind sort of decision, but I feel really good about it. I'm really sort of excited to give this little dog a home and give it a lot of love. And to be honest, bro, even though I have a lot of friends and I'm still super social, I am a home bird and I do get a bit lonely. So sort of having the companion of a dog, I think, will bring a bit of something to my life that's missing, like a bit of responsibility, if I'm honest. Get me out of the house, force me to go out for walks and things like that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it's going to be a really big positive thing.
Yeah, and as they get older, there will be a lot more poop and pee and vet bills. So good luck with that.
Thank you for your realism, my friend. I always need a good thank you for yucking on my Yule. So, what are we talking about this week?
Well, I keep being reminded somehow that it's 5 years since COVID.
Jesus.
It's 5 years since COVID. And I have to admit, it doesn't live 5 years ago in my head. It kind of feels, some days it feels like it was further ago, like we just forgotten about it. And some days it literally feels like it was the other day, because it was just such a monumental event in our lives. That
it was wild, wasn't it, really?
And it has fundamentally changed society as we know it. And we're now seeing the results of the mental health and the social aspect of that lockdown and how long it lasted. And it's not good. There's a lot of kids that grew up in that time that are now, it's not just neurodivergent kids, it's loads of kids in general who are just really bad at communicating in real life.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, it happened at such like a peak time for so many people. Like, wasn't your son meant to be at uni during that time?
Yeah, he never actually went into uni. He did his entire degree online. He never had the uni experience. And obviously last week's hot topic about COVID giving us autism, I'm just wondering, it's like in like a completely fun, definitely not factual way, did COVID give everybody like autistic social anxiety symptoms without them being autistic? Do you know what I mean? Like
oh, yeah. That makes sense, you know?
Yeah. So it's not like, oh, it caused autism or ADHD, but there's a lot of like stereotypical symptoms of loneliness, bad with communication, easily distracted. Those things are happening to neurotypicals. And a lot of people are saying, oh, that's a symptom of autism, ADHD, or so on and so forth. And I'm wondering, are like a lot of people who are experiencing this, who didn't experience this before COVID, is it because of COVID, because of the lockdown itself? Because we're not going to talk about the COVID disease. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the lockdown, how the lockdown affected us. So that's what we really, really want to focus on, the mental health of the lockdown itself.
Yeah, because I've experienced this after the lockdown. I was working in podcasting full time in radio, and then essentially had an unforeseen job change with a project that sort of fell through, and I had to go and work in a bar for a bit. And people are feral now, dude. Like there is something that has changed with people, and ironically, it is almost like a failure of social skills, which is, I totally agree with you in that. Obviously, you could view that as sort of an uneducated perspective on like an autistic trait, really. But I have noticed that obviously in this country, in the UK, we have a queuing culture for our American friends. We love a good queue. We will find a queue and we'll stand in it for a while.
No, I find a queue and run away.
You don't. You run away.
Oh,
Karis is exactly the same. Like if we're looking forward to doing anything and she sees a queue, I have to like really get through a demand avoidance to really get her to be like, let's just chill out in the queue. Honestly, dude, people became very rude in that I noticed that so many people just stopped caring about just like being empathetic or had manners, and everybody went into like survival mode. Like I vividly remember when I was I was in a supermarket during COVID. I was in like a little Tesco Express in the high street in London that I lived in, and a guy tried to grab my shopping as I left, and sort of had to like wrestle food off of him. And that is sort of an energy that I feel like still exists, in that people are a bit more sort of like resource guarding.
Oh, there's definitely a me first attitude.
Yeah. There is a sort of like a
100%.
selfishness that has appeared. Like I've noticed people be really rude to me. I've noticed people have a lot less patience. People, and I know that we always seem to come back to this, but people on the road got so much worse. Like people have become real dicks of like, I don't give a damn about anybody else. Like I really, really noticed that energy. And
Yeah.
it's not been very helpful for anybody. Like as somebody who sort of has like a naturally anxious disposition, and I am a fawner by nature, I have just gotten out of the way of a lot of people post-lockdown. Like especially like when I've gone on like gone out for meals or anything like that. It's like everybody is sort of just down tools with empathy, but also like with effort. Like there's certain kids that I worked with, but that I suppose would be like sort of in your son's generation, like those that didn't quite go to uni, that were just sort of at home. And there was a handful of kids that I've worked with that are in their very early 20s now. And it's literally like it's their first day on earth. Like having to sort of like explain certain things to them with work or just like sort of like simple routines that happen. And I was like, wow, this is like a serious skill regression that you guys have gone through socially. In that I would ask somebody to send an email, whether they're neurotypical or not, and they just freak out. Just wouldn't know what to do. And I don't know whether that's just sort of maybe that person, but I feel like I've noticed it loads and loads where I'm just meeting people where they're massively selfish, but also they don't really know how to do anything anymore. They're just sort of like, oh, well, sod it. Somebody else will deal with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to admit, like the selfish thing is definitely concerning. But let me talk you through the timeline, because I find it's like good to just sort of refresh our experience. So like content warning. I'm going to talk about how it all went down. So obviously, COVID started in the end of 2019, but England officially entered the lockdown on the 23rd of March, 2020, obviously. And then by the 1st of June, so March, April, May, all of that time, not until June, then there was phased reopening of schools, which I still think was a huge mistake.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that as I go through these, you can just see mistake after mistake after mistake. That leads to the inevitability of the November lockdown, which we are now 5 years from. So 15th of June, non-essential shops reopened nationally. Can you remember what, like, yeah, I'll get onto that in a second. It's just like the whole non-essential. And I'm like, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
That was like the whole like eat out to help out era, wasn't it? Where it was like, don't leave your homes unless you have to. But if you do go to a Jamie Oliver's pasta house, that would be great. You know, because the economy.
Yeah, we're getting the economy back in. So yeah, 23rd of June, I've added this. The incompetent Prime Minister announces relaxing of restrictions and 2 meter social distancing rules, which was like 6 feet, wasn't it? Now, I'll talk about this a bit later, but I really missed that. So much. Just in life.
I had a guy stood so close behind me in the airport the other day, and I was like, brother, just half a second back would just be great.
I start aggressive coughing. But anyway, 4th of July, further restrictions eased in England, including reopening pubs, restaurants, and hairdressers.
I remember it. I went to go and get my hair cut.
Sylvie was cutting my hair during it, but again, we'll talk about that in a second. I had a Britney moment as well. I love getting ahead of myself. 14th of August, lockdown restrictions eased further, including the reopening of indoor theatres, bowling alleys, and soft play. I
remember it well because I went back to work.
Softly. 14th of September, rule of 6 introduced. So indoor and outdoor gatherings of over 6 banned. Well, I still think 6 people is too many indoors, but okay. 22nd of September, 10 p.m. curfew for hospitality sectors introduced, and Prime Minister advises a return to working from home. Okay. 14th of October, 3-tier system of COVID-19 restrictions start in England. And 5th of November, England enters second national lockdown. It was inevitable. Like at the end of the day, it was such a hard thing to watch because you saw the impact that the disease was having on people's health, which was
awful,
just tragic.
I know a lot of people that died, actually.
I also do. And it was so scary. But at the same time, people's futures and livelihoods were in the balance.
I lost my job overnight, dude. Like, I had like multiple jobs at the time. But I remember March the 6th, I was actually on my way to a theatre to sign a contract that I was so excited about, having this like residency job. It was what I'd been working towards for a few years. And I got turned around because the person that was, hiring me had got COVID. I never even went back, dude. That building doesn't even exist now. Like, it completely put my entire life on hold. It was scary.
The fact is, the government were incompetent. They were responsible for thousands of deaths, in my opinion, especially in the care home situation. That was awful. So I think, coming from my own perspective, because that's all I can really speak about, for me, it was the anxiety of not only what was going to happen for Sylvia and her job, because she's a dental nurse, and of course that was non-essential at the beginning, whereas my job was essential, and it's to do with where I work in the security industry. I basically look after a building, and that building needed to be looked after. I don't really talk about my job. It's very, very boring. But essentially, and I really wish this wasn't the case, I had to go to work because security, people break into buildings, and that building needed securing. So that you've got to go and do your job.
Yeah.
So that's what I actually just carried on regardless, as it were. I wasn't a hero working for the NHS or working for the fire brigade or the police. Those people were incredible, putting their lives on the line. Yeah, I was just working in a data center, but it was considered essential. So off I went.
Yeah, I had exactly the same thing. I was technically a key worker because I was working in news at the time, and I reported on, like the NHS applaud thing that used to happen on a Thursday night that used to work on my shift times. I used to go into a building, dude, and run radio shows where people were recording, like we're doing now, broadcasting from home. It's kind of where I learned how to do it. And sort of would just be in this like glass studio on my own, PPE'd up to the nines. And I was going and doing that 3-4 times a week. But my girlfriend at the time was working in the West End. I was also working in the West End, and like my other days, we both lost our jobs. We went home. We didn't get furloughed. We just had no jobs, and we had no money. And it was so, so frightening, because we were like, this entire industry that we've sort of built our lives around, not only is completely gone, we don't know if it's going to come back, because so many shows are sort of floated on debt. We were like, if they're not making money, we don't even know if they're going to reopen. And a lot of them didn't. Like, there were so many people that we were friends with that lost their jobs and had career changes because they didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, it was crazy, because I think the things that we had to mentally cope with, I think that was really, really like bringing us down as a family, because especially with the kids, they couldn't see any of their friends. They couldn't go out and do things. And it certainly has affected, it did affect them for many years after. Them being neurodivergent, I wasn't like as advanced in my knowledge now. It was very much at the beginning of my journey. I literally started posting and becoming an advocate in 2019. And then, so it's only about a year, really. And then obviously that's when I started posting. And then it progressed for me becoming an advocate. And And that didn't happen until much later in 2019, because at first it was just about the photography and I just wanted to, meet people. And it was that there were so many people had approached me towards the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, of projects they wanted to do, like charities, and like some people wanted to help me with my photography. Some people wanted me to help them with their understanding of autism and stuff like that. And I had all these plans. And genuinely, I do wonder, because at the beginning of it, I wanted to be a full-time photographer. I was like, I don't want to be working in security. I want to be a full-time photographer. I would love to be a speaker. I would love to be an advocate and a speaker. And people were saying, no, this is so good. And obviously I'd started doing school talks and things like that. And then it just all stopped. It all stopped. And I didn't stop. I carried on Facebook as best I could. I started doing talks online. I did a bit of coaching, helping people, but I wasn't very good at it. I knew I wasn't very good at it. So I gave them all their money back because I felt really bad. I was like, this isn't for me. And I'm really sorry. And here's your money back. But I was trying to do different things because I was sort of desperate to get out of my job. But I massively appreciated my job because it was keeping us afloat. I still was able to go in. I was still able to work. It didn't have any effect on that. It was just home life was very, very different. How was it for you?
Well, it was the beginning of my long burnout.
Mm.
That's what COVID caused for me, and it really it peeled back the mask in a way that I look back on now is life-changing. But at the time, I was working in radio, had decided that I wanted to go into theatre full-time to become a sound designer. All of that was sort of laid out in front of me. I had a plan, and the plan was happening. I could see it all happening, and I was literally about to move into the next phase, and I'd worked so hard to become a resident sound designer in an off-West End theatre. I was living my dream, and I was with somebody at the time who I thought was the person for me. And as soon as everything that sort of tied to that identity of, oh, you live in London and you have a nice apartment with a view of the London Eye and you have this great job and you have a girlfriend that works in the same sort of field and we're becoming in the theatre scene and socialites and all of this sort of thing. And then as soon as all of it stopped, so did my ties to sort of my identity. And I started to unmask in front of my ex, and our relationship completely fell apart.
It happened a lot.
Just completely fell apart, dude. Everything fell apart.
I saw this a lot. Is that when couples ended up having to spend so much time together, just all the time, especially when both were furloughed and you were stuck indoors. And yeah, we got separate houses and stuff.
We never used to spend more than 2-3 hours a day with each other.
Exactly. A lot of shit came out of the closet, as it were.
It was really tough, dude, because suddenly I then had an ex-girlfriend that was not, I look back on it now and I don't really have any ill will towards her, but she was really ableist with me, really ableist with me, because as I was unmasking and sort of, I'd gone from being somebody that lived out of a backpack, constantly on the move for 9 years, to suddenly just being at home. I unmasked, and she could not understand who the hell I was. And then I realized a couple of months in, I didn't like her. I actually didn't like her as a person. I liked the idea of who she was and how she fit into my life and the sort of idea that we gave to people as a couple. But when I actually started spending one-on-one time with her, I realized that it wasn't that she was a bad person. We just had very different outlooks on the deep side of life. And I look back on it now, I realize she's autistic, and she had a lot of internalized ableism she was dealing with, but then she would project it onto me also. And it just caused so many issues, dude. So many issues. I would be at home wanting to play Call of Duty Warzone with my friends, and she'd be like, do you need to play a video game for more than an hour? Which, during COVID, was hard work. Like, she made life really hard because she was constantly like, you know, we need more money, we need more this, we need more that, we need more this. And we that was when we suddenly started having arguments, and it became bad. Like, it was a horrible sort of environment to be in for me. And we were both deeply unhappy and running out of money. She thought her career was completely over, and because she was from a different country as well, she couldn't go home and see her family, who were then struggling with long-term COVID illnesses as well. So she had extreme homesickness. We were both really angry at the world, and we just fucking took lumps out of each other, dude. It was like being in a boxing ring every single day. We just character assassinated each other because we were both unmasking and didn't know what the hell was happening. It was just so odd that I went from being a super social, pick up the phone, ring anybody sort of person, to needing to be convinced to even go to the shops. Like, I was scared to just go and get milk. And before that, dude, I was like a freaking, you know, socialite warrior. I just used to just talk to and be anybody. And suddenly, I would even struggle to just go and knock on my neighbour's door to ask for something. And I just completely skill regressed socially. And she didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. And we just started blaming each other. And it was awful. It was so toxic. But then again, at the same time, I started a podcast talking about football with two friends. And I learned how to make podcasts during COVID. And that was the best thing that I've ever done in my life, because it's brought me to you. It's brought me to my job and all of these amazing people that I speak to genuinely every single day now. It's built my world. And a lot of people, especially like my ex, was like, well, now we've got all of this time, so we're going to see what people are really about, like what they do with their time. You know, like, are you going to be productive, or are you just going to forget to clean your teeth for a week? And I started doing a podcast, but then at the same time, she was like, do you not think you could do something more productive with your time? So it was like this constant, like,
nothing was ever good enough.
Nothing was right. So it was like this constant battle. And it was all because she was so scared that she was in a different country, miles away from her family. And I totally have empathy with that. But then at the same time, like, we made the mistake of getting a dog, like so many people did during COVID. And then when our relationship ended, we had to sort of figure that out. And it was all like, I just made so many mistakes because I was trying to be the person that I was in 2019, in 2020. And that when COVID happened, everything that tied me to that identity died. And I just went into like burnout freefall. It was a really weird time.
I really want to delve into like how you first started understanding that you were neurodivergent and if that had anything to do with that time. But let's have a break, and then we can dive in a little bit deeper, because I can also talk about how it affected Sylvia and I.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
This is a Neurodivergent Experience public announcement. If you live in England and you or a loved one is waiting for an autism or ADHD assessment, you don't have to wait years. RTN Diagnostics is now part of the NHS Right to Choose scheme, which means if your local wait for a consultant-led autism or ADHD assessment is more than 18 weeks, you can choose RTN instead, and it won't cost you a penny. Jordan chose RTN for his own family because their care and attention to detail was second to none. They didn't just diagnose autism and ADHD, they looked at the full picture, including PDA, OCD, anxiety, and more. The team is friendly, neuro-affirming, and comprises many neurodivergent individuals, so they truly understand. Getting started is simple. Download the GP referral letter and questionnaire from the link in our show notes, take those to your GP, and ask for a referral to RTN Diagnostics. If approved, RTN will be in touch within 8 weeks to begin your assessment. Remember, this only applies in England and some exclusions do apply. RTN is not currently able to accept referrals for child ADHD assessments, so check the details before you start. RTN Diagnostics, helping you get the answers you deserve without the wait. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We've been having a real blast from the past. Remember that really naff thing that happened a couple of years ago, like the COVID lockdowns? Well, what an effect that had on autistic people, especially unmasked, undiagnosed, no clue they were neurodivergent autistic people, because that is when my journey to where I am today sort of began. That's when I started doing the research and figuring out who I was in that time. So I've given a little bit about sort of how it unlocked for me, but I'm interested, obviously you were so newly into the world at the time and you were sort of figuring it out. What was the sort of effects that lockdown had on you and Sylvia as two unmasking people?
Well, it was really interesting, actually, because we were surrounded by essentially death, you know, just like putting it bluntly, that's what COVID was. It was death. Death was in the air.
It was really scary. It was scary.
So scary. But in this house, it was a really happy time. And it's such a paradox that I'd go outside or I'd turn the TV on and it was like just the worst. Everything was
28 days later shit. It was
so bad. But then in this house, Sylvia and I especially, we loved it because she was home all the time, and because the way my shift patterns work, I get, you know, like a big load of days off. So I might work 6 in a row, but then I have 6 off. So I'd have like weeks off, and obviously you take holiday as well in that time. And we were with each other every single day, just all the time. And it's like this, I think this is like the testament to how good a relationship that we had, is that we just didn't get on each other's nerves ever. We enjoyed it.
Which is great.
Yeah. We watched loads of TV together. We played loads of video games together. We would do regular board games on the back table with the kids.
Oh, me and my ex used to play a lot of board games. We'd play like chess and stuff every morning, and I read a lot of books. I watched loads of films that I'd always wanted to watch. So like, it was kind of an enriching time. Like there were moments where I had a lot of fun.
Well, but I think that a lot of people, because they had so much time on their hands, whether they wanted it or not, they, like the more productive minded people that we have in our society, put that time into something productive. And I think if I'm right, like there's a lot of people realize that they didn't like their jobs and they wanted to do something different. And in a way, I do wonder if I had been made to stay at home, if I had been furloughed and I'd had that extra time to concentrate on my career as a photographer. Obviously, I couldn't really get out much. I could just walk to local parks and stuff, which I did. And that's what got me into wildlife photography. Because before that, I wasn't really into taking pictures of animals, which is a bit weird because I love animals.
Which I can't ever imagine you not being like that, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
that's mental.
Right at the beginning, I was all about landscapes. I was a landscape photographer. Right. It was landscapes. But I got into wildlife photography a lot more. You know, taking pictures of birds in my garden. You know, walking to the local woods. You know, because couldn't drive unless I was going to work or back because I was terrified of being stopped by the police, and like rightfully so, because people shouldn't have been traveling. People shouldn't have been in places.
Back of an Uber.
There you go. But the other side of it is that I that sense of justice that we have was just constantly being triggered.
Yes.
Because I'd be out and I'd see kids in the park right in the middle of like the height of it being spread. Like when all those graphs they show were hitting the top of the graph of how terrible it was, there was kids in the park playing football with each other. Like 10 of them.
I had a lady run past me breathing really heavily once in Greenwich Park, and I had a massive go at her. I was like, you're literally just breathing on everybody as you run past them, you selfish motherfucker. Like, I had so many moments like that. We had one guy in our building who ran an Airbnb, and freaking 30 people turned up and had like a really big party. And I had to call the police. Nobody came, but like, and that was the thing, is it was just so sort of, I had so many moments like that where I was like, you selfish motherfucker.
I think it's so annoying when you're doing the right thing and you'll be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what I should be doing. And then you just see people just being so blasé about it. And you're just like, do you not understand that people are dying? It's not a really, really bad cold. This shit, and I know that flu kills you, but not like this. And then there was the online arguing. And of course, this is the time where I was online, very new to the whole social media thing. I was getting more and more popular, and that was very new to me. So I went from like, no one gives a shit about me to like, there was thousands of people.
What a time to find your voice.
Yeah, I know, right? But at the same time, I would fall out with friends that I had made over the George Floyd thing, with the Black Lives Matter.
Dude,
because all of a sudden you'd have these numpty fucks with the All Lives Matter. And I was like, are you kidding me? Do you not understand why they're talking about why Black Lives Matter? They're not saying Black Lives Matter more. They're saying Black Lives also
asking for equity.
Matter.
Yeah.
And it's like I mean, the world already treats white people like they matter the most. And the whole point of that movement was the fact that no, they don't. Everybody matters. So we had to talk about the ones that get ignored, which was people of color. But I would also do posts about neurodivergent people. Autistic people matter, because autistic people were getting like forgotten about and not cared about.
Well, there were so many people that took their own lives during this time.
Oh, dude.
And I heard and read about some of them, and it was awful. Like, I had one particular time, it's the only time I've ever had a warning of a police officer. I was walking through London Bridge Station, because that's where I worked above there. And I saw a white guy spit at a black kid on the train. He took his mask down and he spat in his face.
Oh my God.
And the kid punched him, and literally 8 police officers ran up and jumped on this kid. And I tried to pull them off of them. And I was like, you've literally got the wrong guy. And a police officer turned me around and put me up against the wall. And I explained it to him. And when I explained it to him, I says, why does it take a white guy to explain to you for you to listen? And like, I had this whole sort of thing, and I really I could have got myself in a lot of bother sort of defending this kid. But my justice sensitivity, I just couldn't see. I had to do something. I was even thinking about it now is making me upset. I was so fucking angry that somebody would do that to just somebody that they were just walking past. It was disgusting. But that was just sort of what I kept experiencing. I just kept experiencing all these people that were just going feral. They were just doing like, and I think so much of it is tied as well to like Trump's presidency. I know that it came to an end after 2020 the first time, but this sort of attitude idea that develops around his sort of presidency, which is just, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, literally.
Just do what you want. Who cares?
But the same thing happened with Brexit. It was because Brexit was fundamentally, I'm not saying everybody that voted for Brexit is racist. I'm not saying that, but fundamentally at its core, it was immigration based on racism.
Yeah.
In the exact same way that reform at its core is just racism. It just is. And I mean, people can argue all they like, but
do you know what I've said to many
people?
I
guess, because it just is.
I've said to many people that I know are voting reform, and I said to somebody recently, okay, you're not racist, but if you see people that are voting reform that are racist, call it out. Just prove me wrong.
Yes, that.
Prove me wrong.
Also, do your research and look into the things they say, which is what our hot topic is about tomorrow. No spoilers, but it's a very interesting one. But yeah, so I would say that there was definitely a lot of good that happened for us personally, because it also meant that we spent more time as a family. And I think before that, we had kind of, like, the kids, as they were getting old into those teenage years, they were obviously spending a lot more time with their friends outdoors. They were going around to each other's houses. And it's not that I'm happy they couldn't do that. I'm not that selfish that I need my children next to me all day long. But it did feel like I was losing them, you know, and I put so much of my self-worth into being a dad and being a good dad, that when my kids started doing the usual teenage things that every kid does, and weirdly enough, a lot of neurodivergent kids don't do those things, but my kids were. They were blossoming socially, which is a huge deal when you look back at it, especially them being neurodivergent. Sure. It makes it even bigger of a deal. But obviously, I had that FOMO. I had that rejection sensitivity. I definitely felt like I was losing my little buddies, because we always did everything together. I did enjoy spending more time and figuring out, you know, how to best put our time into something useful, you know? So we were just bonding a lot more. But it was so hard to watch the kids just be so sad because they couldn't just go out and do whatever they wanted, because that and so, like, that, this is the massive negative, is the fact that, okay, it was great because they got to spend more time with me, but it was terrible because that time in which they are learning how to socialize in person, that time in which is the most important part of a young person's life, where they're learning to become an adult. You know, you're getting in the workforce and so on and so forth.
It's a huge transition period. It's really key.
And my kids were right in the middle of growing, and it stunted their growth. So not only did neurodivergence stunt their growth as it does for many of us, but then you also had COVID, lockdown, stunting that growth as well. And the amount of anxiety that it was giving them as well, because they did stick to the rules. They were really, really good. And they would get upset as much as I did when people they knew were having parties.
Yes. Yes.
Which,
I had a friend who had a party, and then the police rocked up, and I was like, I hate to say I told you so. I told you so. I mean, I used to have it where my friends used to come round and we'd literally sit on either side of my kitchen, and I'd be like almost sat on the balcony outside and he'd just be in the kitchen, and we just sort of have these sort of broken conversations. But it's weird because, like, I lost contact with so many people during COVID that were almost like casual acquaintances. And then I started doing a podcast with my friends James and Jack, who I still speak to every single day. Like, James now lives in Manchester and he's like one of my closest friends. And we had a podcast called FC Podcast, and we just talked about football. And it taught me a lot of the skills that I now use every day. It was one of the best things I've ever done. But then at the same time, I lost so many social skills, dude. Like, I became really reclusive and really struggled to get out once lockdown ended. Like once it ended and you could go back out, I almost didn't know how to anymore. I'd gotten so used to being indoors and working from home that my world just shrunk. It was so hard.
You wouldn't have been able to socialize with anybody. And I'd imagine, did the level of communication that you would have had with your family, did that significantly drop? Because it wasn't as easy as like just going and hanging out, or just, because I know how well you got on with your dad, just like, meeting your dad or something.
Well, they were 250 miles away, dude. I was in London, they were in Doncaster.
Well, that probably made that a little bit easier.
Yeah, but I mean, we used to speak on the phone all the time. We would like have FaceTimes and stuff. Like, do you remember? Like, I don't know if you did the quizzes. I did like a pub quiz, with like two different groups every other week and stuff. But
we just played video games as a family. We played a lot of Mario Kart.
That's wicked. I played like all three of the original Spyro games and completed them to 100%. So it was like I was starting to like really, for the first time, build this relationship with the inner child. But then I was also sort of unmasking with somebody that wasn't the right person to unmask with for me. And it was just a real cocktail. It's like, before we go to the break, how did you find the masks?
Yeah, we should have been using them a lot earlier. But it was just another thing with that sense of justice that drove me insane, because like, some people are just dumb, dude.
Oh,
just
I saw
so dumb.
People like cut nose holes in them.
Yeah.
I saw people wear like two and they like had them like beaks and their mouth was free. Like I saw
they would do the chin
Oh, the old
diaper.
chin strappers. Oh yeah, do you remember them?
And you'd like, what? Like, I'm wearing a mask, and you'd be like, well, you still got to wear it correctly. Plus, then you had all the waste of the mask, and no one disposed of them correctly. So that was driving me insane.
I mean, I've still got a bottle of hand sanitizer in my glove box that's just been there for years.
And then it's like, this is just one example, and I saw this all the time. Just people absent-mindedly not realizing how COVID freaking spreads. It doesn't just spread when you breathe, when you cough. It spread on things that you touch.
Contact, yeah.
Right? So you at home cough in your hands, and maybe you didn't wash them properly, things changed at my work so much. I'm not going to go into details, but it was very regimented because they were a business and they had to do a certain way and protect their
the same
people.
For me, dude. It was like
it
a horror movie.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of struggles at work with that, but that's like a whole other thing. But I was out, and this was when it started easing off, and we could go to shops for like non-essentials. So it's around about that time, and everyone's got a mask on. I think my memory isn't exactly perfectly clear with this, but I was at traffic lights, like pedestrian traffic lights, and I was going to cross one way and someone was crossing the other way, and they touched the button and then touched their mask with their hands.
That's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
And then put it on their face as they approached me, and I'm like, well, you just touched a dirty thing, and then you put that dirty thing on your mask, and then you put that mask on your face. Does that not compute?
Yeah.
Because people, I just think people were so blasé about it, and I think OCD might have saved a lot of lives, because I knew a lot of like germaphobes. I'm not a germaphobe, but
neither am I.
I was definitely a germaphobe during COVID.
Yeah.
I was so anal about
very
everything. I had so much hand sanitizer. Like you couldn't get it, but luckily, because of how we already had hand sanitizer.
They were giving it out at my work. So.
Oh, were they really? Yeah, we had like these machines that just, you put your hand down, it did it automatically. Yeah. But yeah, like there was just so many people that just didn't seem to understand how it was just everywhere. This COVID was just everywhere. And I definitely got it, but I kept testing negative, which was really weird.
I was just about to say this, and I think we'll go to a break. I never had COVID.
Yeah, technically, I never had it
passed
either.
a test. But dude, I had some periods where I was so freaking unwell during that, and I kept testing, and I just kept getting a negative and a negative. And then at one point, one of the neighbours that we used to sort of go downstairs with and stand a distance apart and just sort of hang out with, she got COVID, had absolutely no symptoms whatsoever. Then me and my partner at the time were dog ill, and we were like, oh my God, we've definitely got COVID. Never, ever got a positive, either of us, ever.
I think the tests were fucked. I really do.
It's so hard to say now, isn't it?
I don't know how good or bad they were, but I mean, I got COVID, and I'm sure about this because I would go to work, at the beginning of lockdown, and then on the way back in the mornings or in the evenings, I would stop off at this woodlands that I drove past. No one else was ever there at the time I was there, and I would go for runs to keep myself fit because I didn't want to run around people. And this was in the middle of the woods. And I was like, this is perfect. So I would go for these runs. And one day I went for a run and I got like 2 minutes into the run and I couldn't breathe properly. I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? And then the next day I was so ill, but this was before the tests. So
right.
Before the test. So you couldn't test. So I called up my work. I'm really, really ill. They tell stay home. And they were actually paying sickness back then. So they were like, stay home, don't come in. And I was like, hooray. I'd have rather gone to work. I'd have rather gone to work than dealt with what I dealt with. It was horrible.
The sweats were the bit that killed me, dude. Like the cold chill.
Like being cold and then warm and then cold. Oh, so bad. And then, but I couldn't test. So I just assumed that I had COVID. So it could be that my body had built up the antibodies that then later on when I did get COVID again, it just didn't, show up in the test. I have no idea, but that was my experience. But yeah, let's have a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit like, how the world has changed for the better and the worse.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
Have you ever felt stuck in patterns that don't serve you? Struggled with stress or wanted to connect more deeply with yourself? Then I have to introduce you to a friend of the podcast, Ashley Bentley of Integrated Coaching, Breathwork and Hypnotherapy. Ashley is a highly experienced clinical hypnotherapist and coach specializing in working with neurodivergent minds. Through a unique blend of integrative coaching, breathwork and hypnotherapy, Ashley helps people rewire subconscious patterns, regulate their nervous systems, step into more empowered versions of themselves. Whether you're dealing with addiction, anxiety, burnout, or struggles with self-acceptance, Ashley offers practical and science-backed tools tailored just for you. Her unique methods combine neuroscience, storytelling, and subconscious transformation to create real, lasting change. Jordan and I can personally attest to the profound and transformative effects of her sessions, which have been life-changing. She does all of these sessions online, meaning she can work with you no matter where you are in the world. If you're ready to break free from old patterns and start living with more clarity, confidence, and connection, go to bit.ly/AshleyNDE to book a free consultation or learn more. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We've been discussing lockdowns and sort of how that has had effects on us as people but just neurodivergent people in general. And we'll wrap up this episode with sort of like what we think are sort of like the positive and negatives. Now, one of the positives that I think has come from sort of the lockdown period, because this is from my own experience, is I had my autistic enlightenment during this time.
Yeah, this is what I really want to hear about, man. It's like, what was that journey?
So during the summer of 2019 was the first time I thought I had ADHD, the entry-level drug of neurodivergence. And it's like, here, smoke this ADHD, man. But I worked with somebody who is still one of my closest friends now, my friend Sash. She got diagnosed with ADHD during this summer. And she was like, Simon, the only other person I've ever met in life that's like me is you. So please look into this. Like, right, okay, and I trust you so much. So, and I did look into it, did a lot of research. And I, at that time, self-identified as having ADHD. At the beginning of 2020, I started telling people, I came out to my parents and went, it's not, I don't think I have, it's I have ADHD.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I started to sort of accept it. I didn't make any changes. I didn't implement like any sort of accommodations. I just went, woo, quickie boy, ADHD. And sort of just stuck with it. And I look back on it now, I was so depressed during lockdown. I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot. Like, I was just not in a good way. I was blowing my brains out so that I didn't have to feel anything, like so many other people I know did. And I look back on it now, dude, and that was the beginning of a burnout that lasted until pretty much the middle of 2022. Like, I just sort of lost interest in so much stuff. I was delving heavily into substances and sort of just blowing my brains out to try and not feel anything. I lost connection with a lot of relationships that I had, and my social skills just completely disappeared. This is the first time I ever recognized skill regression. And en masse. Like, it wasn't just like I was struggling with socializing. It was I was rehearsing in the mirror how to talk to my neighbors. Like, this is when I started like scripting properly. And also, a lot of the things that I was really interested in as a child started to flood back. I really started getting into trainers at the time. I started getting into Yu-Gi-Oh cards again at the time. I was playing video games that had like got remasters, like I did the Crash Bandicoot remaster, I did the Spyro remaster. I was playing and doing a lot of things that I had lost because of, synaptic pruning or masking or, just changing environments. And I was really starting to find who I was. But then again, at the same time, because of the lack of understanding that I had on just neurodivergence as a whole, and the person that I was with, and the environments that I had been in, living in London, the rat race, you're not first, you're last, and no one likes a loser. And I really turned on myself. I really started to like psychoanalyze myself. I was really wondering as to why I had these certain behaviors, and I started to stim. Like, I'd never done it before. And I mean, I had, but I'd lost it, like I'd forgotten that I stimmed. Like, when you're a kid, I forced myself not to do it. And I just lived totally unregulated for such a long time. And I started to have these tics and I started to have these stims. And it's not her fault, but my ex thought I was putting it on.
Oh.
So
ouch.
Trying to then explain what is happening when I don't know what's happening, this is where my severe alexithymia kicked in. Because I stopped trying to explain myself because I just didn't have the energy, I didn't have the words, and I got in a huge spoon deficit. So all of sort of the things that like were underlying throughout my life that I struggled with were never as prominent as when lockdown happened. It's like I just couldn't hide it anymore. And it was so confusing because I felt like I'd been possessed. Like, I genuinely had a moment where I slid down the kitchen fridge and I put my head in my hands. I had a horrific meltdown and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What is happening to me? Why have I got these facial tics? Have I got Tourette's now? Like, that's one of the only things that I liked about wearing a mask is I could hide my facial tics.
Yeah, that's like with the mask, I found it like super difficult as well. I mean, I was glad that they were there, but when I would go around and because I can't do people's eyes, I will sort of rapidly glance at someone's eyes and then move away. So for me, it was all about looking at people's noses and mouths. So I would be able to pretend that I was looking in your eyes, to mask and to ironically mask and to fit in, but I couldn't stare at the mask. It just felt weird and I couldn't stare in people's eyes. So for me, I was regressing in just being near people because I'd have to just look completely away.
And that's sort of what happened with me is, I went from being this super social networking, living out of a backpack, bohemian sort of person to suddenly being somebody that didn't really want to go outside, that was really struggling with addiction. So I was drinking and smoking cigarettes and doing other things at the time just to feel anything. And I was with somebody who, rather than trying to help me, was trying to understand me and couldn't get why I was doing all of these sorts of unusual things to her. And I ended up having to have group counselling. We ended up as a couple having couple therapy, which is the worst thing I've ever done. It was not fun at all. Sort of having to explain who you are to a stranger when you're suffering with extreme alexithymia. Every single sort of negative outcome that I look at, like my neurodivergent self, the disabilities that I have, the things that need accommodation, all of those red flags appeared during this time. And I was so confused, dude. I rang my mum up and I was like, I've got a tumor. I've got a brain tumor. Like, I'm dying. Something's not right. Like, I think I've got a terminal illness or I've got ME. Like, I was going through every fucking Dr. Google thing that I could find. And at no point did I ever think I was autistic. I was like, I'm just ADHD, quirky guy. Like, I never even sort of thought of the repercussions of what was happening, of how incredibly unregulated I was, how I had a lack of accommodations, how I was with somebody who was interrogating an alexithemic person every single day going, why are you like this? I was just in the worst possible environment that I could ever be in. And it's been such a great learning lesson because I look back on a lot of those elements now and go, they're what I don't need. So in a way, it's been a blessing. But at the time, dude, God, I was in the eye of the hurricane. I was in such a bad way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're going through, what's the word when you're coming down from drugs?
Oh, withdrawal.
Yeah, it sounds like you're almost going through withdrawal type of
neurotypical withdrawal.
Neurotypical withdrawal but like with withdrawal, it's a terrible thing to have to go through. But when you come out the other side, you come out a better person. So, like you're saying, it was something really bad, but something really good happened because of it. And now, you look at your life now, and it's like it's so good compared to what you probably ever even imagined it would ever be.
It's like I moved up to Manchester. I split up with my ex. I changed my job. Like, it's taken a long time. It's not like I made these decisions and my life changed overnight. It has been a journey, but I never would have left London, which meant I never would have moved to Manchester. I never would have met Caris. So I'm so glad that it happened because it made me realize that the character that I was playing is not who I am. I am who I am now. And it's
like a forced unmasking.
It was a forced reset.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for it. But dude, it was so hard. It was very painful. And I think about it now, and even talking to you about it, I feel like I've had tears on the edge of my eyelids a few times with a few things we've discussed today. I kind of look back on it and I go, fuck, that was tough. But
it was. There was so much. It's like the country came together and then social media drove it apart.
Yeah.
It was such a weird thing because like some days you felt like, oh, it's like the World Cup's come to England and everybody's, celebrating together and we're all united because we're, against like wartime. And the war was against
it was the Blitz
COVID.
Mentality. It was us versus, and I
miss us versus the disease. And
I miss it. I miss that community that we sort of developed.
I do too. I miss the fact that people were celebrating NHS workers
And then they asked for a pay rise 2 years later when everyone turned on them.
This is the thing about news nowadays, is that because we have access to so much news and because we scroll, we're literally real life scrolling past news. Like, oh, this terrible thing happened. And by Tuesday, you're just like, well, this other terrible thing happened. This other terrible thing happened. This new terrible thing happened. And everybody's arguing and everyone's disagreeing and everybody's getting angry and, and we're all part of it. I'm part of it. You know, it's so weird. But I do think during that period of time, I think people became more addicted to their phones, more addicted to social media. I definitely did. More dependent on, you know, being inside their own head. And like we said earlier, this very me first selfish mentality that during the height of COVID, it was like the opposite. Everyone was helping everyone else and everyone was trying to help their neighbors or, you know, delivering and wanting to help. And then as soon as COVID finishes, everyone's like, right, now this is all about me now. And I get that. I mean, like, no one else is going to care about you if you don't care about yourself. You know, you can't rely on others to care about you. Some people have to rely on others to care about them. They don't have a choice in that. But I think when you have a choice and you're like, well, I'm going to put myself first. So it's not like I'm blaming for people for being selfish. It's kind of like I'm blaming the lockdown, but it was something that had to happen. So essentially it's like wherever you think COVID came from, because there are many, many theories and I don't really care. The fact is it came from somewhere. It happened. Wherever it came from, that's the fault of how we are now, of this me first attitude. And I do believe that we are coming out of it. I do believe that there is a point where we're going to move on from that, but I don't think we're ever going to really move on from how addicted we are to social media, how we do things in our lives based on what we've read on a social media app. Just for an example, like people doing relationship tests based on TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And just really stupid shit like that.
It launched so many people's careers as well. There's so many people that are famous
YouTube.
influencers now. Like, dude,
YouTube went through the roof, man.
Listen to this, man. During 2017, in my master's degree, my thesis, my like dissertation thesis of my whole degree was, is podcasting the next evolutionary step of radio or the death of it as we know it? And I talked about if audio has a boom like YouTubers had, it's fucking over for mainstream media, because we will make our own news. We will trust each other more than we'll trust the establishment, and everybody will have an opportunity to become a creator. And I vividly remember writing, it will take a huge societal shift where suddenly everybody is being incredibly creative as an outlet for mental health. So if suddenly people are making YouTube videos because they've got nothing else to do, we're trying to, you know, rebuild a career that they've lost overnight, I says then there is going to be a huge boom of self-creators, because they're not going to need, you know, like how many people used to have radio shows in the 90s? Like 10 people. And like now, there are that many freaking podcasts out there. I mean, Christ, we do it. But there are so many things out there now, like TV shows. Like how many Marvel TV shows came out during lockdown, and like movies and stuff. Like everything is so completely oversaturated that nothing feels special because there's too much shit. And I wrote about it. I said, if something societal happens where suddenly everybody stops auditioning and just makes it themselves, it's fucking game over for everybody else. And it happened. And we're still sort of living with it, where like people are in school now. And when I was a kid, you'd be like, I want to be a movie star. I want to be a footballer or a basketball player or whatever. Now kids are going, I want to be a TikTok star.
Yeah. I want to be an influencer.
Yeah.
I want to be. Yeah. It's But the fact is, that they are legitimate jobs if you can get them. And I would never want to crush someone's dream of being like,
because there's some brilliant creators out there, dude. There's so many great people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not stupid any more than it's stupid for young people to be like, well, I want to be a famous gamer. Because like you get parents like, oh, just go outside and, why are you stuck in front of the computer all day? And then you'll probably find that they're practicing the same as Michael Jordan or Rory McIlroy would just practice their sport dedicated Kobe Bryant style.
Oh, dude, there's people that have paid their parents' mortgages playing freaking Warzone. It's crazy.
Literally. Esports is a genuine way of making a living. And I think people need to catch up with the reality that a kid sitting in front of a computer all day isn't them wasting their lives always, but sometimes it is, in the same way as a kid that's kicking a football all day long might never be a Premier League footballer. But the fact is that it is a legitimate job in the future. You can be a superstar on social media.
Well, here's the thing, dude, is like in the 2 years that we've been doing this show, like obviously it's not our jobs, we love doing it, but if we sort of stay on the trajectory that we are for another 2 years, this could potentially be our jobs, and that's an incredible sort of opportunity that this sort of societal shift has created, and that you and I can talk on a microphone to other people, share our experiences, and maybe help them along the way, and we could have a normal life doing that. That I don't feel like that could have happened before COVID. But I mean, I look at certain people now. There was one girl that was a West End dancer, and when she lost her job, like so many of the artists and creatives that worked in that industry, like myself did, she started making TikTok videos of her doing choreography in the loading bay of the Tesco that she worked in. And she now has a career as a dancer, way more than she did before she started making these videos. I mean, Christ, I'm currently watching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here with Karis. There's a guy that's on it who started his career streaming FIFA during lockdown. And now he's like a household name for so many kids that like people think he's going to win because of how big of his following is, regardless of whether he's good or not. Like, it has really sort of shifted what so many people can do. And don't get me wrong, dude, we're doing it. I would never have gotten into podcasting properly if I'd not done it during lockdown. So it's created so many opportunities. But again, I sort of look at, the fallouts that people have had, how people are like on the road now, how like, again, that sort of like selfishness and the me over everybody mentality. There's been pros and cons from it, but the sort of the autistic awakening that I had, even though it was very difficult, I'm so glad that it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the regression in social skills is such a huge thing. But like I said right at the beginning of the show, you do have this thing where a lot of people are like, oh, maybe you're ADHD or maybe you're autistic, and because of the very, very niche stereotypes of being easily distracted or not being, social, and it's like, well, during COVID, loads of people were getting distracted by their phone, which is like the biggest distraction there is. And loads of people became antisocial because they couldn't be socializing. And there's a lot of young people who became antisocial because it stopped them socializing at that pivotal time, which is why I think that, you need to broaden your knowledge of neurodivergence, which is what we're here for, to understand whether you are neurodivergent or not. Because there might be a lot of people that think they're neurodivergent because they literally watched a TikTok video or an influencer on Instagram or whatever who had like 2 traits. And they were like, I have those 2 traits. And it's like most people during COVID probably picked up those neurodivergent traits, but that doesn't mean you're neurodivergent. But if you do suspect that you might be, look into it more. But don't just take a couple of things and suddenly be like, that's me. And be like, it might, just might be the fact that COVID fundamentally changed your brain during lockdown. Because that is, and we're not going to realize the effects of this for probably decades.
Not enough time has passed. Like
decades.
What they're going to talk about in schools in 15 years' time is going to be fascinating. Because like history will not be kind to the policymakers and these people that spent billions of taxpayers' money on shit PPE and all this sort of stuff. Like history will not be kind to a lot of people in this time.
No.
But I'm interested to hear, as a listener, how did the COVID lockdown change you? Did you have your autistic awakening during this time? Did you what was the big changes in your life that came from it? I'm fascinated to hear how it's affected you after hearing how it's changed our lives.
I think, just finished on this, I think the biggest and best thing that has changed fundamentally within society for neurodivergent people is the ability to work remotely. There is far, far more of that. And my son does it. My daughter hopefully will be getting a job soon where she's working remotely. And being somebody that had to go into work every day and be around people. And it was so hard. I'm much better at it now, but especially when I was younger, it was so hard. It made my life so much more difficult, having to be in the office environment, having to be social when I didn't want to be, having to mask all day long just to fit in for my job. And I'm so happy that my kids don't have to do that. They get to be who they are from home and work online and occasionally have to go to an office. So I think just for their mental health and just for their energy levels, I definitely think that is the biggest positive from one of the most tragic and horrific times in my history of being a human. But drive safely, everyone. And if that arsehole in a BMW really wants to push in, just let him, because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. He's always going to be an arsehole, and you're always going to be the person who gave way. So you're the good person. And that is my most advice to how to drive after COVID. Just let them be dicks.
Yeah,
keep
keep
away and buy a dash cam.
Stay in the left-hand lane, get a dash cam and just watch everybody else fucking figure it out. Couldn't agree more. Well, guys, thank you so much for being with us once again for this week. Remember, there's a hot topic coming tomorrow in your feeds. And as always, start your week with purpose with Ashley Bentley's Mindful Mondays. We will be back tomorrow. Can't wait to see you there. Take care of yourself. Be kind. Be safe. Bye.
Nightly bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening. And until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's the final days of our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Parles-tu français?
¿Hablas español?
Parli italiano?
If you've used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based technique teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world. With lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers, Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/acast. Spelled BABBEL.com/acast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hi, this is Robert Mays from The Athletic. This time of year always gets busy, but that's when having Peloton in my life really makes a difference. The new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ, helps me fit in great workouts no matter what's on my schedule. It's Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Peloton IQ plans your workouts, tracks your progress, and corrects your form so you can train smarter and make the most of your time. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.